Cats or dogs, sir? Cats
Dogs,
or dogs?
dogs. Yeah, but I'm starting to really like the cats, though, too, now.
Okay.
This is not fair. First of all, I'm not taking a puppy away from John Wick. Just saying that right now. Okay.
A reckless biker thought he could get away with kicking a stray dog for fun, completely unaware of who its owner was. What started as just another day took a shocking turn when none other than Keanu Reeves stepped in. Would the Hollywood action star handle it with his signature calm, or was this about to turn into a real-life movie scene? Stick around, because this story is about to take a wild turn. Keanu Reeves walks with Buddy. The John Wick set buzzed with activity under the morning sun, the air thick with heat and the scent of street food. As the director called for a lunch break, Keanu Reeves declined an invitation to join the crew, his focus on Buddy, the pitbull who had just wrapped up his scenes and was struggling with the heat. Wanting to bond with the dog, Keanu insisted on taking him for a walk, despite the dog keeper's offer to handle it. Equipped with a leash, water bowl, and a few supplies, he set off into the streets of Brooklyn Heights, searching for a place to cool Buddy down. As the midday heat intensified, Keanu spotted a worn-out bar called Iron and Ash with a public water fountain nearby. Relieved, he helped Buddy quench his thirst. While there, he observed the rugged-looking bikers frequenting the place. Some exuded confidence, others caution, but to his surprise, a few showed genuine warmth toward Buddy. One burly biker, covered in tattoos, acknowledged the dog with unexpected kindness. "People misunderstand pit bulls, just like they do us bikers," he remarked. "But they're loyal, both of them, if you treat them right." Keanu nodded, appreciating the wisdom in those words. Sometimes there's more to people and dogs than meets the eye. A tense encounter at the cafe. As Keanu and Buddy stopped outside a bar, a waitress greeted them warmly, her tired face lighting up at the sight of the dog. Buddy responded with a friendly wag, earning a laugh from her. But just as Keanu was about to leave, raised voices caught his attention. A tense confrontation was unfolding between the waitress and a group of bikers who had been banned from the bar. When one of them threatened her, another group of bikers stepped in to defend her. Realizing the situation could escalate, Keanu chose to quietly lead Buddy away, unsettled by the growing tension in the area. A few blocks later, they found a peaceful cafe with shaded outdoor seating. Keanu settled in, ordering food for both himself and Buddy. As they waited, the friendly waitress, Maggie, welcomed them, admiring Buddy's calm demeanor. The atmosphere was relaxed until a burly biker walked by, sneering at the sight of Buddy sitting at the table. Without warning, the man kicked Buddy, causing the dog to yelp in pain and bark in distress. The once peaceful cafe turned silent as Keanu shot to his feet, fury flashing in his eyes. His posture shifted instantly, no longer the easygoing actor, but a man ready to defend his loyal companion. The biker hesitated for a moment, startled by Keanu's swift reaction, but quickly regained his aggressive stance. He spat on the ground, his expression filled with disgust. "Control your beast," he sneered. "How dare it show its teeth to a man?" Keanu's hand moved to Buddy's back, his touch firm yet calming, trying to soothe the agitated dog. But the confrontation was far from over. The contrast between Keanu's calm demeanor and the biker's aggression was clear. Keanu kept his voice steady despite his anger. "Buddy only reacts to threats," he said. "You provoked him. He's never harmed anyone unless they struck first." The biker sneered mockingly. "Coward dog, coward owner," he taunted, his words full of contempt. For a brief moment, Keanu's control slipped. His hand shot out, grabbing the front of the biker's vest. A hush fell over the cafe as people around them tensed. But just as quickly, Keanu caught himself. He noticed Maggie approaching with their food, her face filled with worry. Taking a deep breath, he let go of the biker's vest, forcing himself to step back. Sensing Keanu's restraint, the biker took advantage of the moment. "You'll pay for this," he growled, brushing off the spot where Keanu had grabbed him. "Both of you." With one last sneer, he turned and stomped away, his heavy boots echoing across the patio. As the man disappeared, Keanu's sharp eye caught a detail, the emblem on his vest, a snarling tiger with extended claws. It was the same symbol he had seen earlier on the troublemakers outside Iron and Ash. A chill ran through him, but he pushed the thought aside. Right now, Buddy was his priority. Checking the dog over, Keanu was relieved to find no signs of injury. The smell of his freshly grilled sandwich pulled him back to reality, reminding him why they had stopped here in the first place. Maggie set their plates down with an apologetic look. "I'm so sorry about that," she said. "Are you both okay?" Keanu gave her a reassuring smile. "We're fine. Sorry for the scene." Maggie shook her head. "Don't apologize. Those guys have been harassing customers for weeks. This is the first time one of them has gone after an animal, though." She lowered her voice and glanced around before adding, "The owner's been trying to get more security, but it's not easy." As she walked away, Keanu sat back, trying to shake off the lingering unease. He hadn't realized how much the encounter had rattled him until now. Looking down at his food, he suddenly became aware of just how hungry he was. Buddy, too, had recovered. His nose twitched at the smell of steak, a string of drool forming at the corner of his mouth. Keanu chuckled. "All right, Buddy," he said, placing the dog's plate in front of him. "Let's eat. We've earned it after that mess." As they ate, Keanu's mind drifted back to the biker's parting words. Something told him this wasn't the last he'd see of that man. But for now, he pushed the thought aside, choosing instead to enjoy the simple comfort of sharing a meal with his loyal companion. Buddy in danger. A sinister attack. As he finished the last bite of his sandwich, he glanced at his watch and realized time had slipped away faster than expected. Their break was almost over. "Looks like we need to get going, Buddy," he said, giving the dog an affectionate pat. "But first, I need to use the restroom. Mind waiting for me?" Buddy tilted his head, as if considering the request, then sighed contentedly and settled back into his seat. Keanu couldn't help but smile at Buddy's almost human-like reaction. Standing up, he carefully secured the dog's leash to the table leg. As Maggie passed by with a tray of drinks, he caught her attention. "Would you mind keeping an eye on him for a moment?" he asked. "I'll just be a few minutes." She gave him a reassuring nod. "Of course, no problem at all." Keanu made his way inside, weaving through the tables toward the restroom sign at the back. To his frustration, a small line had already formed. He debated going back outside, but decided against it. The urgency of nature's call won. As the minutes dragged on, he tapped his foot impatiently, an uneasy feeling creeping in. Buddy was safe with Maggie, wasn't he? There was no reason to worry. Finally, after what felt like forever, but was only about 10 minutes, Keanu hurried back outside. But the moment he stepped onto the patio, his heart dropped. Buddy was alone. Maggie was nowhere in sight. What truly sent a wave of panic through him, though, was the sight of Buddy struggling to breathe. The dog's body heaved as he desperately tried to expel something from his throat. Keanu's heart pounded as he cradled Buddy, racing through the streets. The once lively pitbull was now weak, his body limp in Keanu's arms. Every step felt like an eternity, but finally, the sight of the veterinary clinic brought a flicker of hope. Bursting through the doors, he shouted for help. Dr. Harper, a sharp-eyed vet, wasted no time assessing Buddy's condition. The signs pointed to poisoning, possibly drug-laced food. She immediately ordered blood tests, an antidote, and IV fluids to flush out the toxins. Keanu could only watch as they fought to save Buddy. His hands shook as he called the film director, who assured him to focus on the dog's recovery. The production team's dog keeper was also on the way, ensuring the incident was documented for potential legal action. As Keanu sat in the waiting room, time slowed. The day had started with a simple walk, but now it had turned into a fight for Buddy's life. Somewhere out there, the man who did this was still free. Keanu's usual patience wavered, replaced by something sharper: justice or vengeance. At exactly 1:42 p.m., Dr. Harper returned, her expression serious but not grim, a small relief. Keanu sat up. "How is he? Is Buddy going to be okay?" She nodded. "He's stable for now, but he's not in the clear yet." She glanced at her clipboard before continuing. The tests showed a dangerous mix of narcotics and rat poison. Without fast treatment, it could have been fatal. Keanu's stomach turned. This wasn't just a cruel prank. It was an attempt to kill Buddy. Dr. Harper reassured Keanu that Buddy was stable, the toxins had been caught in time, and the treatment was working. But as she spoke, Keanu's mind pieced together the events leading to this moment. The threats at the cafe, the man who had fed Buddy the sausage, it was all connected. Just then, the film's dog keeper arrived, concerned. Keanu quickly updated him before making a decision. He couldn't sit by while the person responsible walked free. Handing over Buddy's care, he made a quiet promise: "I'll be back. Justice for Buddy." Stepping out of the clinic, Keanu's focus sharpened. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice. His path led him back to Iron and Ash, the place where it all started. As the sun dipped lower, he observed the bar from across the street. The same bikers from earlier loitered outside, their dominance clear. The waitress who had stood up to them was gone, replaced by a nervous male employee sweeping near the entrance. Keanu approached him, speaking low. "Rough crowd." The man hesitated, eyes flicking toward the door before muttering, "You have no idea." Something in his voice made Keanu press further. "How long has this been going on?" The man sighed, shoulders sagging. "Months. It's the bar, their loud voices and aggressive postures, making it clear they were the same troublemakers from earlier." The waitress who had stood her ground before was nowhere in sight. Instead, a nervous-looking male employee hovered near the entrance, his body language tense as he avoided eye contact with the bikers. Keanu waited until the last of them disappeared inside before approaching the man, who was now absently sweeping the doorway. "Rough crowd," Keanu commented casually, nodding toward the bar. The employee looked up, his eyes widening slightly in recognition before shifting anxiously back to the door. "You have no idea," he muttered under his breath. Keanu's brow furrowed. "The woman who was working here earlier, what happened to her?" The man hesitated before sighing. "She's in the hospital. Those guys did a number on her." Keanu stiffened at the news. It was the same waitress who had been kind to Buddy. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, lowering his voice. The employee sighed, shoulders slumping. months. And it's getting worse. Last month, they broke my nose and 2 of my fingers when I tried to kick one of them out. He flexed his hand unconsciously, wincing at the memory. I've been thinking about quitting. Nessa, the waitress, too. But, Keanu prompted. The man hesitated before admitting, I handed in my resignation, but my boss asked me to stay until he finds a replacement. He says he needs all the help he can get with this. He gestured vaguely toward the bar. Keanu frowned. That's not fair. You shouldn't have to put yourself in danger like this. The employee shrugged helplessly. My boss knows where I live. I'm scared of what might happen if I just walk away. Keanu's eyes drifted to the bar's grimy windows. Inside, the bikers were stirring up trouble again, pushing around other customers while the staff kept their heads down. It was more than just one bad incident. This place was ruled by fear. A direct confrontation wasn't just foolish, it could make things worse. A plan started forming in his mind. He had connections, people who could handle this properly. One name stood out: Sheriff Hank Morrison, a friend, someone with the authority and experience to deal with situations like this. Turning back to the employee, Keanu said, I think I know someone who can help. The man's eyes flickered with hope. Who? Keanu gave a reassuring smile. Someone who can put an end to this, legally and safely. Just keep your head down and stay out of trouble. Help is on the way. Stepping away from the bar, Keanu pulled out his phone and dialed Hank's number. His fingers moved with purpose as the call connected. Hank, he said, his voice low but urgent. I need your help. I'm at Iron and Ash in Brooklyn Heights. Some bikers poisoned Buddy, and I think they have illegal substances here. Hank's voice was calm but firm. I hear you, Keanu. Don't do anything rash. Stay put. We're on our way. Keanu let out a breath, some of the tension easing from his shoulders. He trusted Hank to handle this the right way. Now, all he had to do was wait. As he put his phone away, the bar employee watched him with a mix of hope and fear. Hesitantly, he asked, Did you call the cops? Keanu nodded, but before he could respond, panic flashed across the man's face. No, you don't understand, he hissed. If the police come here, the business is finished. My boss will, quote. Keanu cut him off gently but firmly. Think about what you're saying. What's left to protect? A place that allows criminals to run wild. A business that puts its own employees in danger. The man fell silent, unable to argue. Keanu's voice softened. This place needs real security guards, not waitresses or scared employees like you. This isn't right, and you know it. The man swallowed hard before nodding slowly. You're right, he admitted. Their conversation was interrupted by the distant wail of sirens. Within minutes, multiple police cars rolled up, their silent approach showing they were ready for action. Officers poured out, their movements swift and purposeful. Keanu watched as they entered the bar. The element of surprise worked in their favor. Before the bikers could react, the officers had taken control of the room. Through the windows, Keanu saw the chaos inside. Tables knocked over, people being restrained. The search was thorough, and soon officers emerged, discussing the large stash of illegal substances they had found. It wasn't just for personal use. There was enough to suggest an organized operation. As the arrests began, Keanu felt a rush of emotions: relief that justice was being served, satisfaction that the community was safer, and a lingering anger over what had been done to Buddy. One by one, the bikers were led to waiting police vehicles, their rights being read as they were secured in handcuffs. The flashing red and blue lights cast an eerie glow over the scene, drawing a small crowd of onlookers. Keanu, realizing he was attracting attention, slipped on his sunglasses. He had done what he needed to do. Now, it was time to step back and let the law take over. As the last of the bikers was taken away, his thoughts drifted back to Buddy. The immediate danger was over, but his real concern was the dog's recovery. With one last glance at the bar, he turned and headed back toward the clinic. A bond strengthened and justice served, a safe ending for Buddy. Keanu walked back toward the veterinary clinic, his mind replaying the day's unexpected events. Though it had been a chaotic ordeal, he felt a sense of closure, knowing that those responsible for Buddy's suffering would face justice. As he neared the police vehicles, he suddenly found himself face to face with one of the arrested bikers, the same man who had kicked Buddy at the cafe. The biker's eyes widened in recognition, a mix of anger and fear flashing across his face as he realized who was standing before him. For a brief moment, they locked eyes, the weight of their encounter hanging between them. Keanu took a deep breath, keeping his voice steady. "There's a saying that fits this situation," he said calmly. "You don't mess with a man's dog." The biker's face twisted with rage. "I hope that dog died," he spat, struggling against the officer holding him back. Keanu's expression didn't change, but his eyes darkened. "He didn't," he replied coolly. "And now you have plenty of time to think about why hurting an innocent animal seemed like a good idea." Without another word, Keanu turned and walked away, unfazed by the biker's angry shouts. The officers quickly silenced him, shoving him into the back of a patrol car. As Keanu continued toward the clinic, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The brief encounter had reinforced his belief that he had done the right thing, not through violence or revenge, but by ensuring justice was served. The streets, which had earlier echoed with urgency as he rushed Buddy for help, now felt different. The tension that had driven him had shifted into quiet determination. Upon arriving at the clinic, Dr. Harper greeted him with a tired but reassuring smile. "Mr. Reeves," she said, "Buddy is stabilizing. The treatment is working, and we've counteracted most of the poison's effects." Relief washed over Keanu. "That's great news. What happens next?" Dr. Harper led him to Buddy's recovery area as she explained, "We'll keep him under observation for the next 24 hours to watch for any complications. He's on medication to help with nausea and protect his liver, along with a special diet to aid recovery." When they reached Buddy's enclosure, Keanu saw the dog resting on a soft bed, connected to various monitors. Despite the medical equipment surrounding him, Buddy's tail gave a weak wag at the sight of Keanu, bringing a lump to his throat. "Hey, Buddy," Keanu said softly, kneeling beside him. "You're going to be okay. We got the bad guys." Dr. Harper smiled at the interaction. "If all goes well, he should be ready to go home tomorrow. You'll need to continue his medication and follow the diet plan, but his outlook is good." Keanu nodded. "I'll be here first thing in the morning. My hotel is nearby, so if anything changes, I can come right away." As they went over Buddy's care instructions, Keanu's attention was drawn to the small TV in the clinic's reception area. The local news was reporting on the arrests at Iron and Ash, highlighting multiple charges against the biker gang, including animal cruelty. The report mentioned that investigators had found traces of dog fur on one of the men's boots, and further tests were being conducted to confirm the allegations. A quiet sense of satisfaction settled over Keanu. Justice was being served, and the neighborhood would be safer because of it. He also noticed that the news didn't mention his involvement, just as Sheriff Hank had promised. The report continued, stating that the owner of Iron and Ash was under investigation and that the bar would remain closed until further notice. It seemed the day's events would lead to lasting changes, not just for Buddy, but for the entire community. As Keanu prepared to leave the clinic, he felt a mix of emotions. The day had been a whirlwind of fear, anger, and now, relief. But more than anything, he felt a deep connection to Buddy, one that went beyond their work together on set. They had been through something real, something that would undoubtedly strengthen their bond and translate into a more authentic performance. With a final pat for Buddy and a sincere thank you to Dr. Harper and her team, Keanu stepped outside into the early evening air. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, returning to set, adjusting schedules, and ensuring Buddy's continued recovery. But for now, he was content, knowing they had overcome a major hurdle together. As he walked back to his hotel, he reflected on how much had changed in just one day. Brooklyn Heights felt different, as if the resolution of the conflict at Iron and Ash had shifted the very energy of the neighborhood. His thoughts drifted to Buddy and the unexpected bond they had formed. What had started as a simple walk to help him get into character had turned into a real-life test of courage and determination. This experience had changed more than just their off-screen relationship. It would inevitably enhance their performance on set. As Keanu neared his hotel, his phone rang. The producer's name flashed on the screen. Taking a deep breath, he answered. Keanu, the producer's voice came through, laced with both concern and frustration. How's Buddy? Keanu kept his response brief, but reassuring, summarizing the vet's update and Buddy's positive prognosis. He could almost hear the producer calculating the impact on their filming schedule. This is going to set us back, the producer sighed. We'll need to reshuffle the schedule and move some of your solo scenes to the front. I understand, Keanu replied, but Buddy's health comes first. We can't rush his recovery. A pause. Then, the producer's tone softened. You're right. We'll make it work. The vet said he should be ready in a few days. That's the hope, Keanu confirmed. I'll be picking him up tomorrow and following all the care instructions. They spent the next few minutes adjusting the schedule, prioritizing Buddy's well-being over immediate production needs. Keanu was pleasantly surprised by the producer's willingness to accommodate, proof that the industry was shifting toward a more responsible attitude toward animal actors. As the call ended and Keanu stepped into his hotel lobby, his phone buzzed again. A message from Sheriff Hank Morrison. Operation successful. All suspects in custody. Evidence secured. Your involvement remains confidential. Well done, Keanu. A small smile crossed Keanu's lips as he read the message. Thanks to Sheriff Hank's quick action, justice was served, and the danger was eliminated without disrupting Keanu's privacy or the film's production. And that wraps up this incredible journey. But this experience wasn't just about stopping the bad guys. It was about resilience, loyalty, and the unexpected bonds that shape us. Keanu didn't just protect Buddy, he stood up for what was right. And in doing so, he gained something far more valuable than just another day on set, a deeper connection with his co-star, and a reminder that courage isn't about fighting. It's about choosing to do the right thing. Tomorrow brings new challenges, new scenes, and a fresh start. But as Keanu finally rests, there's a quiet satisfaction in knowing that when tested by adversity, he stood strong and walked away better for it. If you enjoyed this story, Share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, take care and always stand up for those who can't fight for themselves.